Guys, welcome back to the second beer bracket of the month episode. This is actually pretty big because the first beer bracket of the month episode was the first thing that we ever filmed. I'll play a little clip of it here on the side so you can see. Look at little fresh-faced Joe and Alessandro doing their first ever video for YouTube, opening and closing their beer brackets. It's been a while. So just to give you guys a little bit of a refresher on what the beer bracket of the month episodes are and what the idea behind them is, you choose a beer to open your brackets with, there's everything in between, and you choose a beer to close your brackets with. Why are you choosing that specific beer to open your brackets? Why are you choosing that specific beer to close your brackets? And everything, all the chaos that happens in between. We find beers that we can't really necessarily review together because either Alessandro or myself can't find where we are. So these are beers that we want to present to each other. It's just kind of a more free-form conversation. We're presenting the beers. We don't know what we're going to be showing each other. Beers that we love, that we're passionate about, that we really like, that we think the other person will get a kick out of. Hey, Alessandro, how you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. I'm so excited. Like, this is a big milestone. It's episode number 2.
It is, right? Doesn't it feel like forever ago? That it was forever ago.
It does.
It was the first thing that we did on YouTube, recording that episode.
But you know what? It kind of feels like we're back home.
I think so too, man. I think so too. All right, so let's get started with opening our beer brackets. I think we need to get right into this. Who's gonna start here? Do you want to start? Should I start?
You should start, my friend, because if I'm not mistaken, I started last time. So I think it's just nice to be a gentleman this time and tell you, please, sir, you go ahead.
You always have a good memory. You always did. All right, let me duck down here and get what I'm looking for.
Plus, I'm excited. I want to see because I know you got something interesting there.
I always get interesting things, don't I? So for this one, I wanted to go a little bit local. Local is in not necessarily Quebec where I'm from, although there were some from Quebec. There's the beer from Quebec, which I do want to get, the White Whale, which we will not speak of now because I don't want to curse it any more than it's already been cursed because we are never going to find it. We're going to find it. We're going to find it. This is a brand that you know pretty well, Collective Arts. So, yes! Yes! Yeah. I know that you can get Collective Art beers down in Florida, but this one specifically, this is a limited edition release. I've only tried this one once before and it blew my mind. And I think you're gonna know why I really, really liked it and understand why it blew my mind because it kind of relates back to a beer that we tried together. So what this is their blueberry chocolate coffee and vanilla sour. Can you imagine all those flavors coming together? And the cool thing about Collective Arts, so they're based out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And the name Collective Arts kind of comes together because what they do is they like to collaborate with other local artists, whether that be painters, photographers, graphic artists, whatever it might be, for the artwork on the cans and a couple of other things as well. So all their cans have really kind of cool artwork going on there. I'll show you because you're off on the side. You can see there's kind of like this real cool abstract sort of
that's such a cool can,
face going on. This one I think is really, really spectacular. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to pour it out for you just so you can get a look of what this is like. I'll pour it out for the camera and then I'll show Alessandro because Alessandro's kind of off on the side over here. So I'll show everybody here first. Look at this. Look at this purple, dark purple. It's almost like grape juice. Look at how freaking incredible that is. So you get the blueberry, you get the chocolate, you get the coffee, and you get the vanilla all together in one beautiful looking sour. Look at this. Look at this work of art, this work of Collective Arts. How incredible is that? So amazing. Okay. I'm going to go through really quickly my impressions on this one.
Please.
So the smell, oh my God, I wish, check and see if you can get this down in Florida. All right, because if you can, I highly, highly recommend this. The aroma is like freshly ground coffee beans, if I could compare it to anything.
I love that.
Like freshly ground coffee beans, but you get chocolate and you get vanilla. It has the most delicious aroma. I love the aroma of this beer. I'm just gonna enjoy it for a second.
As you should, my friend.
It is so freaking good, man. I wish you could try this. And so you have the coffee, and then you taste. It's like a milk chocolate. It's not dark. You know what I mean? Like, we describe dark chocolate a lot in beer.
Yeah, that's more that like milk chocolate character. That's nice.
Yeah, it's almost like a milk chocolate, like a Cadbury chocolate. So it's a little sweeter, and you get the coffee and you get the vanilla, but the sour element is very thin. It's so well balanced, and it all comes together in this beautiful little package that goes down so smooth. It's so delicious.
They are an amazing brewery, collective arts. All the ones that I've had a chance to try have always been amazing. But let me ask you this: like you mentioned that it was reminding you of a beer that we had together. Is it by any chance the peanut butter and jelly sour that we had?
Yes, it is. It is. Do you remember the name of the brewery?
Yeah, it's Hidden Springs in Tampa, Florida. It's a fantastic brewery. Sour specifically is one of the things that they do amazingly well. Once we tried is together. The name of that beer specifically is Man's Child, and it's absolutely amazing. Peanut butter and jelly, and you can taste both of these things, and it's just a very weird combination to have in beer.
But if you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, pretty much that, just without the bread. It's so freaking delicious. It blew my mind. We did a tour of the brewery. We were lucky enough to got to talk to one of the brewers and trying some different beers at the bar. And so we had some different sample size glasses that they were passing off to us. And that was one that I tried and just blew my mind. I put it in the same family as that beer of that sour, because you have the sweet elements, you have the smoky elements, there's some savory there. It's so freaking delicious. I love it. Okay, so now I don't want you to wait too long. What are you opening your beer brackets with?
Okay, my friend. So I picked, because last time, if you remember, I went with my origins. I went Italy, I went with Denmark, Ireland. This time I'm kind of continuing on that theme, but I'm going a little bit differently. So I'm going with the beer from my adopted country here, the US, and specifically Anchor Steam. And the reason why I picked this beer is because it's one that I wasn't familiar with at all before I moved here to the US. And after I started, researching the beer scene here, I found out that this is actually one of the oldest craft beer breweries that is still active and operational in San Francisco. And as it says here, started in 1896, so that's quite a long history. And I've had it a couple of times. And I loved it. It's a very particular beer. It's called like a steam lager because it's a lager that is being fermented at a temperature almost like an ale. So the temperature is so high that it's closer to an ale. And I thought that was an interesting combination, like to kind of like open up the beer brackets today with that.
That's so cool, steam ale.
So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Throw the cap in here.
You know what I just realized? You know what this smells like? Have you ever had a Coffee Crisp candy bar?
I don't think I have, my friend.
They're only available in Canada. They're freaking amazing. So for anybody in the States, if you've ever come to Canada and got one before, this smells and tastes like a Coffee Crisp.
And cheers, my friend. Let's open the beer brackets.
Happy opening of the beer brackets, good sir.
I love this smell.
Okay, tell me about it. What's going on there?
You know what? Sometimes we talk about the toasty character of the beer. This one here has it like brought up a notch. You do get a little bit of that hop presence, but it's a little bit more there on the side compared to that toasted, roasted character. That is exactly how I remember it. It had that strong malt presence, but in a dry, roasted way with that hops that is there to balance it out. So that's what I remember. The reason why I liked it so much. On the taste, you get those same elements. The finish is nice and clean. A little bit of hoppiness to finish off. but that roasted character pops up at the very end and invites you to go back into the glass. So it's definitely a completely different lager than anything you might have tried. So I'd recommend to have it if you haven't tried it. And maybe next time you come down, we can get a 6-pack and enjoy that together.
Yes, I would love that. And I would love to try that one based on your description. That sounds freaking amazing.
I think this one here, in the last episode, you reviewed that it was like that lager, the food truck lager. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name.
The Henderson's food truck lager, yeah.
Yes, for the description and the way you described that, it has some elements that probably are comparable, but...
So it's got the same kind of smokiness to the flavor?
I would think so, but I think that the roasted character in this is absolutely unique. I don't want to say that it's almost if I was drinking it blind, I would be thinking that it could be potentially like a stout type, like not that, almost that, but it has like a strong roasted element. Like, and looking at it, you obviously think, oh, this must be, a lager. You can see it from the color, the appearance. But the taste itself and the smell like has that roasted character that is absolutely unique. It's I would never guess that this is a lager if I tried it, blind tasting.
Man, I would love to try that one. Guys, it's come to that time. We gotta put these aside. These delicious beers will be drank one way or another, don't worry about it. And we have to see what we're going to be closing our beer brackets with today. We're doing a bit of a shorter episode today, so we're going to be opening and closing our beer brackets. Beer brackets are endless. They basically go on to infinity. You can fill that up with as many beers as you can possibly fit into your brackets. It can be throughout the entire course of a vacation. You can open and close your beer brackets over a 5-day span. As long as you're just kind of announcing that you're opening your brackets, you're making it ceremonial, a gesture, a cheers, to say we are starting our beer drinking process, our journey together, and a ceremonial ending of the brackets. So today's going to be a little bit shorter. We're going to do an opening, a closing. Let's find out what I'm closing my beer brackets with for the day. I have never heard you talk about this beer. This beer is right up our alley, right up there. It fits with so many other beers that not only have we reviewed, but that we've talked about together, but this one in particular has never come up. I am closing my beer brackets with the Orval Trappiste Ale. Have you ever tried this one?
I have not, my friend. I know which one it is. I've seen it many times, but I've not tried it.
So this particular beer was first brewed in 1931, but Orval specifically, so Trappist beers are all brewed within their specific monasteries and monitored by the monks, right? So this is brewed in a monastery called Notre Dame d'Orval. So D''ORVAL, which basically in French means DE space Orval from Orval, which is shortened to D''Orval. So it's brewed in that particular abbey. And they were the first abbey to export their beers nationally throughout Belgium, which is pretty interesting. So they're kind of like, the OGs of Trappist beers, which is pretty cool. And they've been doing this, they can trace some recipes back to the 1600s, early 17th century. A lot of Trappist beers, a lot of these monasteries go back that far, if not a little further, back into the medieval ages. But this one in particular has been around for quite a long time. All right, let's open this one up.
Well, I'm excited to hear about this, my friend. I want to hear your description.
So let's pour it out.
Oh, yes.
Right off the bat.
Look at that combination.
I'll show you, good sir, right off on the side. It's got a bright orange color to it, and it's got the biggest head on it. It is so
Yeah, I can see that.
I just went for the straight pour. Guys, that's the proper way to pour, okay? This whole tilting the glass thing, we've talked about this already. I'm not going to beat it to death. This is the right way to pour out a beer. Just let it fly.
Pour it in!
So this one is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little higher. It's 6.9% alcohol. So, I mean, most Trappist beers are a little bit on the higher end. The aroma is so floral. That's one thing that always stood out to me about this beer. They just call it a Trappist ale. They don't define it, at least on the branding or on the bottle, they don't. And the aromas are very, very floral. Like I get lavender, I get lilac, but the taste is so different. You need to try this one, man. I think you're really going to appreciate this. The taste is floral as well, but it's really bitter. You mostly get bitterness, but it's really, really carbonated. And then it just cuts and it disappears, it dissipates. So you get the floral elements, you get kind of extreme bitterness on your tongue, and then it's just gone. It floats away. And you're left just wanting more. It's so light and bubbly. If you can see, I'll show you off on the side here, how the head is really frothy.
Wow, yeah.
See that? The beer is so light. For a 6.9% beer, it is so light and so frothy. And so flavorful, but in a different way.
That's quite a contrast there. Floral and bitterness at the same time. Like it must be, but also very, clean in the finish. That sounds like an amazing experience for a beer.
And on the finish, there's a little bit of sweetness. After the bitterness is gone, there's a little bit of slight sweetness that just ends it off and just sends you home happy after the bitterness kind of attacks your tongue. That sweetness just leaves you with a very satisfied and a calm feeling. And this beer is definitely, it's up there as one of my favorite Trappist beers because it's so smooth, it's so easy to drink. I mean, God, I just poured out, there's maybe a third of the bottle left, but it's so easy to drink. If I wasn't holding myself back, you could drink this so quickly. You just don't feel it going down.
That's what it sounds like.
The head is still so frothy. It keeps its carbonation for a really, really long time. This beer is just fantastic. If you can find it, I really recommend picking up a bottle. This is just a cool bottle. You check that out.
It always stands out. I'm pretty sure I should be able to get that because I've seen it a couple of times, and I agree with you. The bottle is very particular. I mean, you remember it. The label also is very unique. It's just like that little shape. It's not like taking off the whole bottle, so it's almost like because it's lacking most of the label, you remember it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like that little diamond shape, and then pretty much like a little strip all the way around the side from that. So it's very, very unique. Like a wine bottle of sorts, but like a little compressed wine bottle. It's really interesting. Okay, so I'm dying to know, when are you closing your beer brackets with?
So again, I'm going geographically here, but I wanted to conclude my second episode with a beer that is from a country that is not my own, but that I've visited many, many times, and I've learned to love their beers. And it's funny because before we started recording this, we were actually like messaging back and forth, and we were talking about the style of beer. I picked actually London Pride. To represent English ales, which I know this is not a real ale, actually, like in the cask and everything, but I've been many times in English pubs. I love their ales, and this is the closest I could possibly find to even slightly replicate that experience, and I wanted to showcase that and represent that with my closing beer.
You know what? I can get that here. They have that at the liquor store here at the LCBO.
That's awesome. Well, we should then make a review together for this, for sure. So yeah, I thought that again, like those are pretty much like this closest countries that have played a role in me like enjoying and liking beer, an experience that I've visited. Italy, Denmark, US, and England and Ireland are pretty much like the countries that really contributed to me like getting into beer and loving it and wanting to explore more. So that's kind of like why I picked this one here to close the beer. Did you mention Canada on that? What was that?
Did you mention Canada in that list of countries?
Not yet, sir.
You what? Okay. I am deeply offended that you did not mention Canada in the list of countries that have inspired you as a love of beer. Not just because I am from Canada, but you have come to visit me twice in Canada, and both times we have gone on beer pilgrimages and tried a whole wide variety of different beers that you've never tried before. I am, frankly, the fish trophy and myself are both very offended. Because you see that little Canada sticker right there? See that? You know what that means? That means Canada has the superior beer. All right, so that marks the end of our opening and closing of the beer brackets. We just closed them off. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. Like I mentioned before, normally what we would do, we'd open the beer brackets, we'd have a beer in between, and we'd close them. We're keeping it a bit... Did you hear that?
What the heck was that?
I don't know. I thought that was on my end, but I guess it's on your end too.
The glasses have been emptied, and the magic gate has been opened once again. This moment has been foretold.
Did you?
Who are you?
Are you hearing that too? Is that just me?
No, I'm hearing it too, man. I thought somebody messing with us? What the heck is this?
I will ask one more time before I unleash my fury. Who are you?
I'm Joe.
I'm Alessandro.
Joe and Alejandro.
Who are you?
Who I am is not important right now. You have performed the ancient ceremony that opens the magic gates to the world of beers. And you are about to embark in the legendary beer voyage. Many before you have tried and failed. It is now your time to prove yourself worthy.
I hate to interrupt, but my name is actually Alessandro.
Silence. Take this ancient bell. This artifact is as old as the earth itself. It must be used with respect and reverence. You will need it in your journey.
I don't know. There's an inscription here. It says, like, ring for beer.
Ring the bell.
I guess why not?
What? What? Oh my god.
It worked!
It worked. Wow. This is unbelievable. I got it. I wish we were in the same place so you could try this one with me right now. This is freaking awesome. Have you ever heard of this one?
I have not, my friend. I haven't. No, this is the first time seeing that. What is it? But you know it, apparently.
Okay. This is incredible. This has popped up. So this is from a craft brewery in Scotland called Harvestoun Brewery. Okay, so they've been around since 1984, I believe. They've been around for a while. And what they do is they do a lot of like Scotch aged ales. So they'll age them in old whiskey barrels. And have you ever heard of the Scotch Highland Park?
I have, yes. I've had it before. Yeah, the 12 years, I think the one I've tried, like the classic probably.
Yeah. So this one, what they do is they age them in the Highland Park casks. And this one's aged in the Highland Park 18 casks. So I believe, isn't that cool? So I think they have the 8, the 12, if I'm not mistaken, for the beers. And they also have the 18, which is so hard to find. This is crazy. I can't believe I have this right now.
But what's that thing that you have there on the neck of the bottle? Like, does it give you any fun information?
So this tag that's kind of on it just basically gives you the meaning of Old Dubh and means black oil. But what's actually interesting on the label, I know you saw this before too, it mentions next to it, so every bottle is numbered, so it's limited edition. So this one is 3,990. It doesn't say out of how many, but this one in particular was brewed in July 2020. And it's signed by the master brewer and also the master whiskey maker from Highland Park, which is really cool. So you have that down there on the label. So it gives it kind of like a unique feel. Each one, it makes you feel like you're tasting and drinking something special, which I think is really cool for a beer like this. The first time I tried this one, I was traveling in Scotland and I was in Edinburgh. And the first night that I arrived there, I was by myself at that time. And I walked down from the hotel down to, anybody's familiar with Edinburgh, there's the Royal Mile, the main strip kind of in the center of the old town. And I popped into a pub and I sat down. I'm just like, I've been traveling all day. I just got here. I want a beer. And it's just like, I was looking at what they had on tap. And I remember, they had a Guinness. And I was thinking maybe I'll get a pint of Guinness. And the bartender's like, no, you you're in Scotland, you got to try this. He's like, this is my favorite beer, and this is hard to find. It's a limited edition. You got to try it. And I never thought I would have this beer again. It's the most delicious freaking beer.
That's amazing. And I love actually when bartenders are telling you what you should try, because I'm all about that. I mean, especially when you go to a new place, you don't know necessarily. So he actually did you a favor. I'm like, that's amazing that like you got it here today. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. And so they call this the Orval Dubh, and I know I'm butchering that, but it's actually Gaelic for like old engine oil or black oil, because basically it's like a dark black beer. So that's what Orval Dubh means, the name of the beer, which is so cool. And it is so dark. It is black. It is like old engine oil, and it's got a bit of like a reddish hue to it, almost like Guinness.
It does look dark.
And the aroma is so incredible. You would love this. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to try and, I don't know where this one came from, but I'm gonna do my best to get my hands on another one, so I can hold this for when COVID's over and one of us can see each other again and I can have you try this, because I think you would lose your mind over this beer. Picture everything you like about the aromas of, let's say, EBT12 and Guinness kind of together with a Scotch whiskey aroma in there as well.
That sounds like mind-blowing, my friend.
So on the aroma, you definitely get the whiskey. I mean, it's aged in those 18-year barrels. The whiskey aroma is very strong, but it's balanced. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't invade your nostrils. It doesn't burn. It's just so smooth. But you get chocolate and cherry as well that are in there mixed in, and there's a nice roasted aroma to it. It's just incredible. I can't believe I'm smelling this again. I never thought I would. I gotta take it.
You're making me salivate, my friend. It sounds like an amazing beer.
And it's so smooth. It's unbelievable. It's 8% alcohol, which is incredible because it goes down so smooth. It's about halfway on the carbonation scale, let's say, somewhere at like 5 on 10. So there is some carbonation. It's not completely flat, but it's just so crisp and clean. And the finish is just boom, instant. You get all the flavors. You get the chocolate. You even get a little bit of cherry. You get the whiskey. You can taste the oak barrels. And it's just unbelievable. This is one of my favorite beers that I've ever tried in my life. I love this beer. And I know you would love it too. But I'm dying to know what you have over there. So please tell me.
So, remember we filmed that nice episode about the smoked beer, the Aecht Schlenkerla. And we mentioned that they smoke all their, the barley in-house using beechwood. Well, they make a very special version where they use oak wood instead, but it's very hard to find. I've never seen it. But apparently, like the Magic Beer Bell brought that one to me. Look at that. It's the Aecht Schlenkerla, the Doppelbock.
I wish I could find those. I can't get anything except the Martin here.
And, yeah, but that's the thing, my friend. Like, I've never seen this one either. I've never tried it. It's going to be interesting to see how it compares to the Martin that we had together. That is made like pretty much in the same. This is a slightly different style, obviously, of beer to begin with. But the smoke, the oak that is used in the smoking process is probably going to give like a completely different flavor. So I am excited and happy to try this for the first time with you.
I know when you age something in an oak barrel, doesn't it give it kind of like a really neutral sort of like buttery flavor when you think of like a Chardonnay, like a California Chardonnay that's aged in oak? Isn't that the flavor that it gives it?
It definitely imparts like a lot of flavoring to the, not a lot, but it imparts flavor to the wine or whatever you put in. The reason why they choose oak versus others when it comes to wine or Scotch, it's because how porous it is. It has the perfect amount, so it allows the wine or the whiskey to breathe through, and without being like a sieve. So like you don't want obviously your spirit or your aging liquid to spill out of it. You want to be able to kind of like go through it and get some of the elements from the wood, but without actually getting out. If some woods are too porous, so they would just run through, or some are too dense, so it wouldn't allow like the wine to or spirit to get into it and extract some of those characteristics. But in this case, like smoking it has like obviously each wood when you smoke it has different characteristics, brings in different elements. So I'm dying to see what it smells and what it tastes like.
Oh my God, I'm dying to see your reaction. Let's go. Come on, pour it out, taste it.
To you? Oh my God.
Tell me, please tell me. I'm going to live vicariously through you.
This is not even the tasting glass, and it's I filled it, like just left a little space, but still, like it's so strong, like the smoke comes through, but it's a different type of smoke. You can really tell it's a different type of wood. It's different. It's almost a little bit more pungent, a little bit more sharp on the nose, but it has that same nice richness of the beer, like that malty character roasted, a little bit of the sharp smoke coming through. I think you would love this one here from the smell, my friend. Like on that, like this one here, like so far in the smell, like it's bringing it up a notch.
Should we ring that beer bell again? Like, I don't want to abuse it, but like, what it's given us so far is pretty incredible.
Should we try it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should wait.
Should we wait?
I think we should wait. We don't want to abuse it. I know, we don't want to anger the beer gods.
That's right. That might be a wise choice.
We don't want to be too selfish here.
That's true, but we have it. It's right.
Okay, so what do you get on the taste?
So on the taste, it gets a little bit more bitter than the Marzen. It has a little bit less sweetness. And if you remember, like when I had the Marzen, I said like that to me it was lacking a little bit of that smoky character at the end. This one here is right there, but it sits very nicely on your palate. It's very light. It's not, excessive. You do get all those nice characteristics that you had in the Marzen.
Can we just swap beers through the camera here? It's just, oh my God. I can't think of a better way to close the beer brackets. I mean, I know we were intending on closing the beer brackets in completely different ways tonight, but I think these two are just kind of the ultimate beer bracket closers. I don't know about you.
I mean, I honestly can't think of, I'm so excited, man. Like, I've never seen this before. I've never tried it. It's absolutely amazing.
What's the finish like on that one? Do you get a lot of the smokiness?
Yes. Compared to the Marzen, where you would get a little bit more of that sweetness coming, on this one here, it's a little bit more sharp, and I don't want to say bitter, but definitely more tannic, like wood kind of smoky. So you get a little bit more of that character, which I personally love. Like, I think this is absolutely delicious. And I love the mouthfeel, actually. It's a little bit more carbonated than the Marzen. So compared to that, I would definitely pick this one here if I had to choose between the two.
I wish I could. And for anybody who's not really familiar with smoked beers, or Rush beer in this case, we'll put a link to our Marzen review down below so you can check that out. We get really, really deep into it, explain the whole process of how the beer is smoked and what that's all about and what gives it its flavor. So if you haven't seen that and this maybe sounds a little out of left field for you, I definitely recommend going and checking out that review. Well, look, one day you're going to have to try this one. I know that this one would be right up your alley. It's extremely hard to find, so I'm really happy that the beer gods dropped this into my lap today. And hopefully one day I'll be able to try the other beers from Aecht Schlenkerla as well. I think that one, it sounds incredible.
Can't be better, really. It's that's a perfect way to finishing the beer bracket, closing again with a perfect finishing beer.
Friend, it's always a pleasure to open and close beer brackets with you. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the journey. The purpose of these episodes are mostly just for us to be able to show each other some beers that he probably can't get down in the States or I can't get here in Canada. We can't enjoy at the same time for a review. So we get to just kind of talk about it. We were having these conversations before we started this channel. Once COVID kicked up, we would just have FaceTime chats and just open a couple of beers that we were super excited to show each other and talk about them and describe the aromas and the tastes and the finishes on them to each other. We just got so excited about them. So the idea behind these episodes is just to be able to do that again. And they're just meant to sort of have a good time. It's really just us chit-chatting and comparing beers together. And then something kind of weird happened today, but we'll get into that another time. But it gave birth to these beautiful beers that we have in front of us right now that we got to compare. My friend, it is always a pleasure to see you. It is always a pleasure to open and close the beer brackets with you. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did, comment down below. Let us know if you ever tried these beers before. Do you intend on opening and closing your beer brackets with some friends, making that a tradition yourself? What beer would you open and close your beer brackets with? What would be your middle beer out of a threesome of beers? Let us know down below. Good to see you soon. Take care, guys. Cheers.